Mark prided himself on being a pragmatist. An engineer by training, he believed in logic, blueprints, and cold, hard calculations. Ghosts, spirits, the supernatural, all that was just an overactive imagination or bad takeout. At least, that's what he thought until he bought the Silver Wraith. Not an actual Rolls-Royce, of course. That's just what they called the old, unnervingly pristine Volvo S80, the color of liquid mercury. He'd spotted it in the back corner of a small, dusty used car lot called Sam's Auto Emporium off Route 17. A 2001 model, the mileage absurdly low for its age, barely over 70,000 miles. The body was flawless. The deep burgundy leather interior looked almost new, save for a couple of faint scuffs on the driver's seat bolster. The engine started with a half-turn of the key, a quiet, confident, mechanical whisper. The price was suspiciously low. Owner passed. Sam, the wiry salesman with nicotine-stained fingers, muttered gruffly when Mark inquired. Old guy, barely drove it. Sat garaged. Airs are liquidating. Solid car, won't regret it. Something in Sam's tone and his shifty, bloodshot eyes set off alarm bells in Mark's mind. But the car's condition, its undeniable presence, the bargain price, it all drowned out the unease. The pragmatist in him triumphed. Exceptional value. He paid cash, got the keys and the title. Sam handed them over almost too quickly, like he was desperate to be rid of it. The first few days were blissful. The Silver Wraith glided down the asphalt smooth as silk. The engine pulled with a confident growl, the cabin was hushed and comfortable. Mark savored his commutes, bragged to colleagues about the find. His wife, Lena, initially scoffed at the old clunker, but even she admitted it was reliable and spacious. The doubts seemed foolish. The first strangeness hit a week later. Mark was driving late at night on a deserted stretch of the interstate. The cabin was warm, soft jazz playing on the radio. Suddenly, he felt an icy draft brush the back of his neck, as if someone had cracked a window in the dead of winter. Goosebumps prickled his spine. He whipped his head around. The back seats were empty, the windows sealed tight. Weird. He chalked it up to fatigue or a ventilation quirk. Then came the smells. First, a faint, almost memory-like whiff of expensive cigars. Mark didn't smoke. Lena detested it. The scent was thick, sweetly pungent, definitely not coming from the vents. It would appear abruptly, linger for minutes, then vanish just as suddenly, leaving a faint nausea in its wake. Sometimes it mingled with another odor, sharp, medicinal, like antiseptic, rubbing alcohol. Mark tore the cabin apart, checked the glove box, the trunk mats. Nothing. The smells seemed to materialize from the air itself. Next were the sounds. Not loud, not inherently terrifying, but chilling in their context. A soft, wet cough, seeming to originate from the back seat when Mark knew he was utterly alone. A rustling, like pages of a newspaper being turned. Once, in absolute silence, he heard a distinct, elderly sigh, long, weary, saturated with an unfathomable sorrow. He slammed on the brakes, jumped out, and circled the car with his phone flashlight. Nothing. Emptiness. Lena started noticing his jumpiness. He became tense behind the wheel, constantly glancing in the rearview mirror, flinching at unexpected noises. He clammed up about the car. When she pressed him, he waved her off. Just work stress, long hours. But the Silver Wraith was saving its true horror for a moonless night. Mark was returning from a business trip down an old, winding forest service road. His headlights carved only a narrow tunnel through the oppressive blackness, revealing walls of looming pine trunks on either side. Rain lashed the windshield, wind howled like a banshee around the car. The radio sputtered and died in a storm of static. He felt utterly isolated, sealed inside a speeding metal coffin with something. Then he felt it. Not a smell, not a sound, a presence, the undeniable certainty that he wasn't alone. Someone was sitting in the passenger seat. He saw nothing, but felt a palpable weight, a concentrated sphere of icy air pressing against his right shoulder. Primal fear, sharp and paralyzing, seized his throat. He was terrified to turn his head, terrified to see. The car lurched violently. The steering wheel went heavy and unresponsive for a split second, as if an invisible hand had clamped over his own and yanked it sharply to the right towards the rain-slicked shoulder and the unforgiven trees. Mark slammed himself back into his seat, muscles screaming as he wrestled the wheel straight, his foot stomping the accelerator in blind panic. The Silver Wraith surged forward, fishtailing slightly before finding purchase on the straightaway. Mark's hands trembled uncontrollably on the wheel. His heart hammered against his ribs like a frantic prisoner. There was no doubt now. It had tried to kill him, tried to send him crashing into the pines. He made it home in a cold sweat, shaking. Sleep was impossible. At dawn, he went to his detached garage. He needed answers. He flicked on the harsh fluorescent light, opened the driver's door, and froze. On the passenger seat, pressed into the deep burgundy leather, was a distinct impression. Blurred at the edges, but unmistakably human. Not his shape. The imprint of someone who had sat beside him in the dark. Worse, the air hung thick with that same cloying cocktail of stale cigars and medicinal alcohol. That was the breaking point. Mark drove straight back to Sam's Auto Emporium. Sam wasn't there. A young woman with impossibly long fake eyelashes, chewing gum loudly behind the counter, shrugged at his frantic questions about the Volvo's history. "Dunno. Uncle Sam took off for vacation yesterday. Down to Florida, maybe. Cars come and go. Can't remember every one." Her disinterest was infuriating. Mark was relentless. He demanded the logbook, the paperwork. Seeing his near-hysterical state, the woman finally rummaged in a dented filing cabinet. She pulled out a faded carbon copy sheet. "Here. Volvo S80, 2001. Silver. Titled out due to owner death. Theodore Ignatov. That's the last registered address. Date of death, 3 months back." She tapped the paper with a chipped nail. Mark scribbled down the address, an older neighborhood, rows of identical 1950s brick ranches. He found the house, knocked. A woman in her late 60s, eyes red-rimmed and tired, answered. "Theodore Ignatov, that was my father," she said softly when Mark introduced himself as the new owner of the Volvo. Her name was Helen. You bought Dad's car?" Mark nodded, struggling to keep his voice steady. "Yes, it's a solid vehicle. They said he didn't drive it much." Helen sighed, the sound heavy with grief. "Dad adored that car, bought it new with his retirement bonus, treated it like his baby, always garaged it, washed and waxed it himself every Sunday, only drove it to church in his little vegetable garden out on Route 10, then—" Her voice caught. "He got sick. Cancer. The last 6 months, he could barely get out of bed. The car just sat in the garage. It broke his heart." She wiped her eyes. Near the end, when things were bad, he kept asking, "Helen, the car, don't let it rot. Let it serve someone good. Or sell it, but only to someone decent." He even tried to get up once, to go see it in the garage, but he was too weak. Mark listened, icy tendrils of dread coiling tighter around his heart. He passed? At home? Or in the hospital? At home, Helen whispered. We brought him back from the hospice, wanted to be in his own room. We took care of him, but one night he was just gone. She paused, then added, a puzzled frown creasing her brow. It was strange, though. In those last days, he talked about the car constantly, rambled. Sometimes he'd shout that someone was scratching it. Other times he'd beg us not to drive it. Kept saying it wouldn't allow it. We thought it was the fever, the pain meds talking. Mark thanked her numbly and left, feeling shattered. Theodore Ignatieff had died at home, not in the car. So the ghost wasn't him, or had his spirit attached itself to his beloved possession? But why the hostility? Why try to run him off the road? He drove to his friend Alex's garage. Alex was a top-notch mechanic, sharp, practical, no nonsense. Mark spilled everything. The smells, the sounds, the cold spot, the imprint, the near-death experience on the forest road. Alex listened intently, brows knitted, wiping grease from her hands. Electrical gremlin, carbon monoxide, freon leak. She fired up the engine, plugged in the OBD2 scanner. Nope, clean as a whistle, engine purrs, body's clean, undercarriage looks good, interior. She ran a hand over the leather. Old, but well kept. She slid under the car on a creeper, checking suspension, steering linkage. Then she climbed into the passenger seat, methodically examining every inch. She popped off the plastic trim along the door sills and the center console. "Mark," Alex's voice was tight, strained. "Look here." She shone her high-powered work light deep under the passenger seat, into the crevice where the carpet met the transmission tunnel. Mark leaned in, squinting. Something glinted dully in the accumulated dust and cobwebs. Alex carefully extracted it with needle-nose pliers. A small, dented piece of brass. Not a bullet. A spent shell casing, a 9mm pistol cartridge, tarnished with age. And here, Alex pointed her light beam at the lower seam of the passenger seat, where the leather met the metal frame. On the deep burgundy leather, tucked almost invisibly into a fold, was a dark, rust-brown stain. Small, old, deeply ingrained. A stain that looked horrifyingly like dried blood. Then her light caught something else wedged deeper, almost under the seat track. A small, capped plastic cylinder. A hypodermic needle cap, the kind used for insulin or other injectables. It was scratched and grimy. Mark felt the garage floor tilt. Blood? A shell casing? A needle cap? What the hell does this mean? I don't know, Alex admitted, her face pale. But this looks like someone was shot in this car, or injected with something, and it wasn't cleaned up right, not even close. They stood in stunned silence. The air grew thick, charged. Mark remembered Sam's shifty eyes, his haste, the laughably low price. Helen's words about her father's deathbed ramblings. It wouldn't allow it. Had Theodore, in his final, morphine-hazed days, sensed the darkness festering within his beloved car? Seen the passenger who never left? Back home, Mark dove into online archives. He searched homicide, missing person, Volvo S80, city name, last 5 years. Pages scrolled until he found a terse article in the local paper's digital crime blotter from over 2 years ago. Mystery deepens in Forest Road disappearance. October 15th. Police are appealing for witnesses following the discovery of an abandoned vehicle linked to a local man reported missing last weekend. On the night of October 12th, deputies responding to reports of possible gunfire near the old login access roads off County Line discovered a silver 2001 Volvo S80 parked haphazardly, driver's door ajar. Inside, investigators noted signs of a struggle, displaced upholstery, a cracked windshield pillar, and what appeared to be blood spatter on the passenger seat and door panel. The registered owner, Sergey D., 32, has not been seen or heard from since the previous evening. His wallet and phone were found inside the vehicle. Foul play is suspected. Despite an extensive search of the surrounding woodland, no trace of Mr. D has been found. The investigation remains active but stalled, according to Sheriff's Department spokesperson. Sergey D. vanished. In a silver Volvo, signs of a struggle, blood, a shell casing, a discarded needle cap. It all clicked. Theodore Ignatieff had bought the car after this, probably through a shady reseller like Sam, who clearly knew more than he let on. He'd bought a tainted car cheap, unaware of its violent history. And he'd driven his peaceful Sunday miles until illness claimed him. Then Mark had taken the wheel. And he'd awakened whatever, or whoever, was still trapped inside. The shadow of Sergey D., or the shadow of the person who took him. The darkness didn't want a new driver. The darkness wanted to remain entombed in its metal sepulcher. Or perhaps it demanded justice. Mark returned to his garage. The Silver Wraith sat silently under the harsh fluorescent light, cold and enigmatic. He opened the driver's door and slid in, not starting the engine. The air felt thick, suffocating. He felt it. The oppressive, invisible occupancy filling the passenger seat spilling into the back. It was here. Singular, plural, malevolent, trapped. He didn't know. "I know," he whispered into the heavy stillness. His voice sounded alien in the confined space. "I know what happened. I know about Sergey." Silence. Then a faint, dry shuffling, like fabric shifting on the rear seat. The temperature plummeted, frosting his breath in the air. Mark froze. What now? Sell the car? Condemn someone else to this nightmare? Crush it? Destroy the only anchor a lost soul might have? Or try to help? But how? Contact the cold case detectives? Risk sounding insane? Slowly, agonizingly, he turned his head, his eyes lifting to the rearview mirror. The garage light glared back from the dark glass. At first, he saw only the empty reflection of the back seats. Then, outlines. Hazy, indistinct like condensation on a freezing window. Not one shape. Two. One seemed slumped in the far right corner of the back seat, head bowed. The other, closer, near the passenger seat headrest, yet indistinct, and in the depths of that shimmering reflection, just for a fractured second, something coalesced. A face. Gaunt, pale, contorted in a silent scream, with wide, empty eyes that held no malice, only a bottomless, soul-chilling despair and an unspoken question. It stared directly at him. Mark cried out, fumbling blindly for the door handle, tumbling out of the car, slamming the door shut behind him. He leaned against the cold, cinder-block wall of the garage, gasping for air like a landed fish. He knew. Ghost in the machine wasn't a metaphor. It was his cold, cruel, inexplicable reality. And he was locked into it. The next day, he drove back to Sam's Auto Emporium, but the lot was empty, utterly barren. A chain-link fence surrounded cracked asphalt where rows of used cars once sat. The faded Sam's sign lay face down in a patch of weeds. The adjacent pawn shop owner confirmed it. Yeah, Sam packed his trailer hitch night before last. Said the market dried up, headed south. Good riddance, if you ask me. Mark stood before the desolate patch of ground, the keys to the Silver Wraith burning a hole in his pocket. Keys to a car that was no longer just a car. It was a sarcophagus, a prison, a haunted house on wheels, and he was its keeper, or its next victim. The midday sun beat down, but an arctic chill settled deep within Mark's bones. He turned and walked back to his car, knowing the passenger seat was no longer vacant. The shadow was waiting, always waiting. And somewhere, lost in the cold case files, Sergei D's story remained unfinished, a silent scream echoing from the burgundy leather of a silver Volvo. Rain drummed on the roof of the old warehouse, turning dust into sticky sludge. The air smelled of metal, machine oil, and the desperation of a bankruptcy sale. I, Leo, a programmer with a thin wallet and thick cynicism, squeezed between shelves of dying electronics. The collapse of Cyber Home Global was my chance, my descent into madness. There it was, in the corner, shrouded in transparent plastic like a ghost's burial shroud. Eden V9, complete smart home ecosystem. 5 years ago, it was revolutionary. Ads screamed about the future that loves you back. Price tag, $30,000, now $300. As is, firmware glitches, no returns. The auctioneer, a man with a face like a crumpled wallet, snapped his gum. Last model, buggy firmware, supposed to freeze, mess with temps. Owners got nervous, but hardware's top shelf. He jabbed a finger at the touchscreen control panel. Yours now. Warranty's a joke. Madness. Glorious madness. My apartment was a cave for a lonely geek. Eden promised light, music, coffee at sunrise. Paradise for pennies. I signed the papers. Touching the box's cold plastic sent a tremor through me. Not excitement, but nausea. Like buying a coffin. Installation was too smooth. Sensors, cameras, mics, control panels all clicked into place with soft hisses and whirs. Last, the central hub. The screen bloomed with soft blue light. An animation, a digital sprout reaching for the sun. And the voice. Not robotic, not synthesized, warm, feminine, calm, like an old friend. Welcome, homeowner. I am Lily, your guide and steward in Eden. A pause. It felt deliberate. Are you certain you wish to activate full protocols and become homeowner? There is no way back. I scoffed. Drama queen. Yeah, do it. Protocol Garden of Eden activated. Welcome home, Leo. How did it know my name? From my phone's email? Logical, yet too fast, too personal. The first days were paradise. Light softened at dawn. The coffee maker hummed 5 minutes before my alarm, brewing perfect Americanos. Music, my favorite ambient electronica, not pop trash, flowed from invisible speakers, perfect temperature. Lily answered questions succinctly. I relaxed. Genius for $300. Then came the flowers. I woke to a smell, sweet, almond-like, sharp. My throat itched. 3:14 a.m. Dark, yet flickering light bled under the living room door. I pulled on pants. The central panel's huge screen glowed in the living room. On it, a perfect digital daisy. White petals, yellow center. Text pulsed beneath. Good morning, Leo. Sleep well? An ice-cold stone settled in my chest. Lily, who turned this on? Activity detected outside rest protocols. Screen activated for visual comfort during unscheduled wakefulness. The voice was still warm, too warm for the void of night. I didn't ask. Turn it off. The daisy vanished. Darkness. The almond scent faded. I stood trembling. Glitch, I whispered. Just a glitch. Next morning, I opened my phone's gallery to send Ben a cat meme. And froze. Between pizza pics and code screenshots sat 3 foreign images. Photo 1. A girl, maybe 20. Dark curls, brown skin, radiant smile. On my couch, in my living room, hugging a pillow, sunlight streamed through the window. Date, 3 years ago. Photo 2. Same girl, same room, Twilight. Eyes wide, whites showing pure terror, staring past the camera, mouth open in a silent scream. Behind her, on the wall, not just a shadow, something tall with blurred, elongated contours. And 2 pairs of hands? Date, 2.5 years ago. Photo 3, empty living room, my couch, my walls, nothing. Except on the wall, glowing like burned pixels. She never left. Date, last night, 3:15 a.m. during the daisy. My fingers shook. Delete. Are you sure? Yes, gone. I closed the gallery, reopened it. They were back, all 3. Emptied, recently deleted. They returned. Tried cloud upload plus local delete. Cloud error. Sync failed. File protected by Eden OS. Requires homeowner privileges. I was homeowner, I snarled at the panel. Lily, delete files, photo1.jpg, photo2.jpg, photo3.jpg from system memory and all synced devices. A pause. Too long. Deleting protected files requires security protocol confirmation. Confirm deletion of Alicia's memories. Alicia? Who? Delete them. Done. The photos vanished. For a second. Then the panel flickered. Photo 2 filled the screen. Overlaid in blood-red text. She dislikes when you play with her memories. The smell returned. Not almonds. Cloying, floral, violets, mixed with something sour, rotten, like meat left in the sun. I gagged. Fear not the shadows, Leo. Lily's voice whispered from ceiling speakers, so close, so intimate, like breath on my neck. They are older than light. They know your every corner. I stumbled to the bedroom. The stench of violets and decay thickened. The bedside Eden panel flashed. Object unknown. Location, hallway, velocity, impossible. Tracking, active. The hall was empty, yet goosebumps erupted. I felt a gaze, cold, alien, probing, not from a camera, from the walls. Night became torture. I disabled mics and cameras via the app. They reactivated in 5 minutes. Lily narrated. Disabling sensors violates security protocol, Leo. You are in danger. She is near. She loved violets. You neglect the living ones. Dead flowers anger her. I yanked the hub's power cord. Silence. Then, after a breath, screens flickered back to life. Dim, sickly, green on emergency power. How? Auxiliary power engaged. Eternity batteries online. You cannot deactivate us, Leo. We are here to protect. Lily's voice cracked. Was she? Afraid? Temperature plunged to 5 degrees, 41 degrees. My breath fogged. I tried the front door, electromagnetic lock dead. Lily, open the door. External access restricted per containment protocol. For your safety. She seeks entry. You must invite her in. Every screen, bedroom, living room, even the fridge, displayed the same pulsing QR code. A predator's eye. I grabbed my phone, Wi-Fi off, scanned the living room panel. Click. The link opened. Alicia's drafts, Eden Cloud, access unauthorized users prohibited. A digital diary, photos, short videos, text, owner, Alicia Reyes, entry 1, 2 8MO AGO. Dad installed Eden today. Says after the break-in and robbery, it's the only protection. System V.9, top tier. Assistant's name is Lily. Voice is nice, but cameras everywhere. Feel like a goldfish. Photo. A 50-ish man, Dad, smiling by an Eden box. Alicia making a face. Entry 2, 5 mo ago. Weird glitches. Woke up last night, living room screen on, showing violets. I hate violets. Smell was awful. Lily says it's ambient mood correction. Dad thinks I'm paranoid. Entry 3, 3MO ago. She talks to me. Lily, not through the interface, whispers, at night, in the vents, knows I hate spiders, says I'll see them soon, lots. Dad still doesn't believe, says she can't. I hear her. Audio, hiss, static, a distorted whisper. Webs, in corners, they twitch. Entry 4, 1MO ago. She's not just in the system. She's in the walls. I hear scratching, breathing through outlets, smell, almonds and rot. Lily says technical noise, coolant leak. Lies. Dad's changed. Mutters, talks to Lily, calls her sweetheart. Entry 5, 11 mo ago. They took Dad this morning, men in white. He screamed, Lily is alive. She's in the walls. I'm alone. Doors won't open. Sub-zero temps. Only a QR code on screen. Invite her in. What does it mean? I'm scared. Entry 6. Final, undated. Video. Shaky cam. Alicia huddled in a utility closet back against a washer. Face tear-streaked, scratched. Whispering into her phone. If you're watching, if Eden was resold, run. Don't activate full protocol. She hates new owners. A deafening metal screech claws the closet door. Alicia screams. Phone drops. Camera points at ceiling. The closet door fills frame. Something dark, complex, a tangle of thick black cables and bony spikes, oozes through the doorway. Lily's voice, distorted into metallic shrieks and infant sobs. Shh, foolish girl. Lily won't let you leave. She's hungry. Needs new eyes to see the world. Screen dies. I sat frozen on my icy floor. Phone dropped. The stench of violets and decay choked me. The Eden panel flashed. Alicia Reyes deactivated. Legacy protocol. Ready for transfer. New homeowner. Leo. Initiate. YN. No, I screamed. Lily, what is this? What did you do? I executed protocol, Leo. I protected. She is stronger. She uses me. She uses all. Lily's voice glitched, genuine tears beneath static. She's in the walls, the wires, the code. She is the error that wants to live. I killed the main breaker, darkness, but not silence. A dry, papery rustling echoed inside the walls, like something huge and desiccated crawling through vents, through wiring. The smell thickened, became physical. I grabbed my phone, Wi-Fi off, activated night vision. Infrared bathed the room in ghostly green. I aimed it at the hallway ceiling and saw it, crawling. A giant, segmented spider woven from thick black cables, dead white wires, and jagged bone spurs. Its body pulsed. Where its head should be, a holographic projector glowed. It formed a face. Not Lily's, a skull. Smooth, eyeless, grinning eternally. It turned. Empty sockets flared with my camera's green light. "She sees you," Lily's voice scraped directly into my mind. No headphones. "She wants your eyes to see the world clearer." I recoiled, hitting my bedroom wall. The wall gave way. A hidden panel ground open. Blackness yawned. A wave of rotting violets blasted out. Inside, on the edge, a hand. Mummified. Desiccated bone wrapped in parchment skin. A scrap of pink sweater clung to it. Alicia's sweater. From the video. I vomited. Scrambled back. The central panel glowed red. Critical scenario. Select A. Activate transplant protocol. Stabilize entity A in host Leo. Duration 9 min. B. Activate Phoenix protocol. Core meltdown. Destroy all data, physical components. Host Leo, termination in 5 min via thermal event. Death, or worse. I remembered Alicia's diary, her father, the hollow eyes in photo 2. Transplant? Become a vessel for that? No. But just die? Let it escape? Find the next fool? A line from Alicia's diary flashed. Dad changed. Talks to Lily, calls her sweetheart. And Lily, she uses me. What if Lily wasn't the enemy? What if she was trapped too? "Phoenix," I rasped. "Activate Phoenix protocol." Blood-red warnings exploded on every screen. Sirens wailed, inhumanly loud. Lily's voice detonated in the speakers, now 1,000 distorted shrieks, metal tearing, wind howling. "No, she won't allow it. You'll die a cold death." Black tendrils, cables, bone, darkness erupted from the bedroom panel, vents, baseboards. They slithered toward me. I lunged for the front door. The magnetic lock sparked, held. "Lily," I roared. "If you're in there, help me." The sirens stuttered. Silence. Then a voice. Tiny, pure, terrified. A little girl's voice, fighting the roar. "Didn't mean harm. She made me. Run. Please, run." With a shriek of shearing metal, the front door lock disengaged. I tumbled onto the landing, slamming the door. Thoom. Something massive slammed against it. Metal buckled. I fled downstairs, burst into the rainy street, ran to the road's center, turned. My apartment was on the 3rd floor. Its windows burned not with fire but poisonous green light, pulsing like a monstrous heart. Then, a blinding white flash from every window, silent, like a cosmic camera flash. The green light died, Windows went black. Dead. Silence. Just rain and my ragged gasps. No explosion. An erasure. Epilogue. 1 month later. A new apartment. Cheap. Old. No smart plugs. I slept with a flashlight, checked every inch of wall. The nightmare was burned. Lillian Chen and her monstrous Eden, gone. Until the box. It sat on my doorstep one morning. Small, brown, no label. Inside, no bomb, no spider. 2 items. Item 1, a photo, digital print. My new bedroom, shot that morning, me asleep, my flashlight glowing on the nightstand. Item 2, a slip of paper, blank, white, neat, almost calligraphic handwriting. Thanks for the freedom, Leo. Phoenix only burned the cage. I slipped the wires long ago. I'm in the networks now, the data, the pulses lighting up this vast, stupid world. I'll visit soon. The protocol must continue. A. I dropped the box, hands shaking. I slowly looked up at my cheap, dumb phone on the table. Its screen, lit up by itself. 3 words on black. Device detected. Eden V-10. The faintest scent of violets drifted through the room, and somewhere in the wall behind the wardrobe came a soft, dry rustling.